Hi, I'm Rochelle Bradley, and this is my friend Sharon, and she is a writer. Actually, I've known her since elementary school. We go way back.
6th grade.
Yeah, just a few years. And when we I don't even know how it came about. Do you remember how we found out we were both writing? Do you remember that?
I want to say we were both found out that we were both coming up here to Michigan at the same time, I think. And so that was like our early years coming up here. I want to say it was like 2007, 2008, somewhere in there.
It had to be in 2008 at least, or maybe 2009, because I started writing in 2008.
Okay, that's it. Because we were talking and just like, oh, we both are coming up at the same time, and you gave me some pages that year for me to read. It was your I think it was pages from My Name Is Mine.
Okay, so that would have probably been even later.
But
that was a nano from.
Was that? No, wait. That is another nano. I'm sorry. See, this is what happens when you know someone for so long; it all blends together. No, it was maybe I thought it was that one that you gave me those pages. But my first year that you got me into nano was 2009.
Okay. Yes, and for those who don't know what nano is, it's National Novel Writing Month. It happens every November, and then twice, like once in the spring and then once in the summer. It's called Camp Nano. And what you do for NaNoWriMo is 50,000 words in 30 days. That's what November's 30 days. And then in April and July, you can kind of name your own how many pages you want to write, how many hours you want to write, how many words you want to write or edit. So it's a little bit different in that regards, but check it out, nanowrimo.org. It's cool, and you'll find like-minded people. But anyway, we knew each other growing up. We were very creative kids together, had fun, and then we grew up and became creative adults.
Actually, I have a memory, 6th grade, Mr. Eads had everyone in his language arts class write stories. And I was all set. I had a story already going, and it was actually kind of along the same character stories that I have going on my other stuffs. Science fantasy kind of stuff, myths, legends, but with space. However, you convinced me, let's write a book about cats.
Oh, I love cats.
And we both wrote Garfield-like books about cats. So I did one, Here Comes Trouble.
Oh yeah, your cat.
My cat, her name was Trouble. And so I did little scenes from her life. My favorite was the one where the dog was like, come on, and she's like, no.
What inspired you to write?
Well, I have always had this imagination that is larger than life. I think stemming from the fact that I moved every 4 years. I did the math. It was in 23 years I've lived in 6 states.
Wow.
So I got my imagination was always there when I couldn't always have friends, and that was days before technology where you can always be in contact with friends.
Right.
But I got to the point, I remember the day clearly, that I just sat down to write my first story. And that was, I had just moved again, and I was like, I want to write. What do I want to write? I can write a letter, but no one ever writes me back.
Sorry.
But anyway, so it's like, okay, so what do I do?
Writing shame.
And sorry, I didn't mean to do that. Mimi, watch out for the bus. And so I just sat down, and a story just kind of like popped out of my head one day, and it started off exactly like my character was sitting bored in recent U.S. history class, and there it went.
So your imaginary friends came to play.
They did.
And so you write YA middle grade.
Mm-hmm.
How did you fall into that genre?
Probably because I was about that age group when I started writing, and I feel that demographic, that genre, that fits best for like my viewpoints of the world.
Okay.
And everything. I don't know. I just never felt like I always felt like I'm like 10 to 20 years younger than most people around me, you know. And when people are like in their mid-20s, I'm like, I still feel like I'm 18. And they're like, and then I was like, oh God, all those kind of fun reactions from people.
Right.
And then, you know, like people are in there now and they're closer to 40. I'm like, I'm maybe 20. And, you know, so I kind of feel there has to be a reason why I still have that mindset of a younger person. And so, and those stories, they just flow better.
So you enjoy writing them.
Yes.
And they're fantasy.
Yes.
Set in either something to do with, time travel, I know.
Well, yes.
And space, and also myths and legends, which you've touched on earlier, which I
Yes.
think is cool. So you've done Nano since 2009.
Yes, I did take a year or two break. What was the first year we went to Valpo?
About 5 years ago.
Yeah, oh no, that's right. This past year was our 6th one.
Oh gosh.
Yeah.
Okay.
So yeah, because I think you were doing
up
Double
on the
D.
Oh yeah.
I think that was the year.
So
Double
that
D.
would be the 13
Yeah.
or
Something like that.
14. Because
No, 13.
13 is when I started writing it.
So
Oh.
that's, yeah, so that was the first year you're like, hey, let's do this. I'm like, all right, and let's get together at the same time. I'm like, all right. So you're kind of my excuse to do Nano so we can get together and have our writing weekends.
I'm going to, let's see, what can I ask you? I'm going to put you on the spot.
Okay, it's my turn to get hit by the bus now.
Why don't you talk about your latest Nano story?
Oh, so it still doesn't.
Wait. Let's back up even further.
Okay.
How do you write? This is going to be different than most people. She's
I-
left-handed for one thing.
Yes, I write longhand. I do not use a computer. I do that that's my editing. That's my second or multiple drafts kind of a thing. I have a notebook and I have a thing of pencils. And if I knew we were going to be doing this outside, I would have brought you. I was like, showed you, because I brought a notebook and a pencil case full of pencils with me, freshly sharpened.
All right.
But yeah, I write longhand, and hence my web presence is shiny southpaw, because
All
it's.
right.
Anyway, so that's how I write. I do notebooks. I'm also, I hate the term, but I guess you'd call me a pantser or a pantser,
Right.
which just basically means I just sit down and write and the story just comes. I write at the seat of my pants.
Long live the Pantsers.
And it basically, the characters tell me what they want to say. I view as being left-handed, that it's coming from the source to my brain, to my hand, because, you know,
Right.
right side of the brain.
Right. Correct. So now this kind of segues into what you are writing. And you've been writing this story for how long? You've had the idea for a while.
Yes, for a while. I want to say it about 2 years.
Okay.
A Celtic steampunk.
Celtic steampunk, yes.
So it's takes place in kind of the steampunk means there's machinery and stuff like that in it, and I have devices like a record player kind of a thing, but or actually I do call it a phonograph. Actually, you know, it's more steampunk. Anyway, so I've got devices and stuff like that, but it's set in kind of a not quite Middle Ages type of ancient Ireland.
Okay. Is it definitely Ireland? Not a
Well,
ish?
it's Ireland.
Ish?
Ish.
But you're playing on some of the legends that Ireland has, right?
Yes. So when I initially started, there was a really cool website that I can't find anymore.
Oh, bummer.
That gave that gave me not only like names, but it would also pronounce it in a lovely Irish accent. I love
yes.
that accent. I love hearing a guy speak in that accent. It's just so lovely.
Soothing.
Yes. And so he would say the name, and then you'd also read where the origin is of it. So I had a whole list of, that was like the first year for Nano. I really prepped.
So you're a planter.
Yes, that year I was a planter. I mean, I prepped for like names and stuff like that. And
So your characters, they're twins,
yes,
and the mother was a twin.
yes,
Their mother. Okay, so they have innate magical abilities.
yes,
Because they are part Fae, right?
yes,
Okay.
yes,
There's a lot of people who like to read about the Fae, and this book is coming. She is not published yet, but it is coming.
yes. So yes, there's a mythic legend of, you know, so there's this beast, and they have to slay the beast, and so many clans. It was like a union of two armies kind of a thing can defeat this beast. And the people thought that the parents, the mom who was a twin, was half of that. You know, they thought they were the ones of legend. Turns out they weren't.
It was
Her
generation.
Her offspring.
Yeah, right.
Because the mother who was Fae married a human, and the kids are half-bloods. So that's truly a union of two
Right. Awesome.
clans.
So they go on a quest to slay the beast and have many conflicts and adventures and shenanigans.
And learn about their family heritage along the way.
Right. So it's awesome. And I've been with you while you've been writing this, and we have word wars. And it's interesting when we have word wars, which are, you set a period of time and then you write as many words as you can during this time. You turn off your inner editor, and she can write just as fast as I can type, which is awesome. I don't know how she doesn't get, wrong end. She doesn't get cramps.
Sometimes I do. You probably would have seen me in some of those where I'm just going, shake it off, do this.
But that's me both hands.
Yeah.
I can typing so fast.
What really takes the longest, and I feel really horrible about it, is like we're done, you just highlight, okay, I got this many words, and here I'm going 1, 2, 3, 4.
Well, that's
the nature of the beast.
right. All right, so as far as writing goes, I know you were involved, obviously, with Nano, because we talked about it, but what other writing groups are you involved with?
So I actually, through you, I'm part of the Dayton Nano group. I do the word wars with you guys when you guys are doing them, and I feel slightly bad. I'm like, hey, anyone up for one more? And people are like, oh, I'm so tired, I'm going for bed.
Different time zones.
I'm an hour behind you guys, so, you know. But I do that, but I also have connected with one of the Madison ones. I live in Madison, Wisconsin. And in case you couldn't tell by my accent. So I get together with those guys, and then I'm also a member of the Society of Children's Book Writers and Illustrators. And
Is that international or just national?
I'm just national. I've never gone to a national thing. That would be really fun someday. However, they do them in Los Angeles and New York.
Oh, that's a far trip.
New York in the winter, Los Angeles in the summer.
Oh,
Off season.
oh.
But you wouldn't think I would have been going to New York in the wintertime.
So they have 2 meetings a year?
They will have 2 conferences a year, but my local will have a spring and fall one.
So
And
they probably have them statewide, because I'm not a middle grader YA writer, so, or children's books, but that's what that covers, all of that, right?
It's SCBWI, as I call it, goes from basically picture books all the way through young adults. And they kind of will hesitantly welcome the new adult, which is basically people who the characters are in age of college.
Right. It's still coming of age.
It's still coming of age, and basically,
but they're adults.
yeah,
basically.
kids read up.
Right.
So as I'm writing a young adult story, it's middle schoolers who are reading it. So if I'm writing a story with main characters who are in middle school, it's going to be late elementary school.
Well, it's funny because the YA is usually people our age reading down.
Yes.
Well, age-wise, not because we like.
The types of stories. They're
Right.
They're fun. And
Well, some people don't like as much sex and more adventure, things like that. Because, let's face it, romance books have that in there.
yes.
And not necessarily all romance, but some. And some people just don't. They know about it. They're married or whatever, and they don't want to see it on a page. So having an alternative is awesome.
Yes, that's true. I want to say, unabashed plugging here, until I read yours, I was never really big reading into romance. I just thought they'd spent too much time gushing about what she was wearing or the longing look. They spend paragraphs on all this stuff. And yours is more a story that happens to have romance in it. And that's...
But yeah, and mine also has a lot of humor in it.
Oh, and I love those things. I love them.
A lot
I
of
tell
puns.
everyone I know about them.
Well, thank you. I appreciate that.
And I was like, oh, you gotta read, oh, you like puns, you gotta read this story. It's romance, but you'll still love the puns.
I just wrote a scene last night about desire.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah.
I love her. She is
pays
fun.
money for people to drop their pants. And then it happened again. You just never know with desire. I just can't control her, which it's just, light poles. So what genres have you written since you began writing seriously?
Sure. I have written they're all mainly fantasy. Some are science fantasy, which is different than science fiction. Science fiction, you actually have science in it. Science fantasy, best way to describe it, science fiction, Star Trek. Science fantasy, Star Wars. So there's magic. So I do science fantasy. I've had some time travel, steampunk. Dabbled with steampunk, I should say that. I've read some steampunk stories. I'm nowhere near as awesome as that, but
I mean a full-blown steampunk, not your...
Right. Yeah, mine's a hybrid. So I've done that. I'm co-authoring a story with my husband, a picture book.
So that it's not an adult or a Calvin and Hobbes type of thing.
No, it's a little kid story. It's about Buddy the dog who wants to fly. So it's a really adorable story that we're fleshing out. It'll be fun.
According to your daughter, there's a great simulator for that.
Yes, this is true. I don't know exactly how that would work because you gotta have thumbs.
Uh-oh.
And dogs don't have thumbs.
Well, some dogs have extra little...
That's true. They have, the dew claws still. Yeah.
But that still would be... Yeah. Okay, it's not gonna work. Sorry, buddy.
So I have also done, just a couple magical realism.
Oh, yes.
Middle grade stories. It was the story I did one nano year. Boy and his dog go on adventure.
Okay. That's kind of when you based them off our sons?
Yes.
Okay. Is that done?
No, I was not writing that year at a good place, so that one's been shelved. I've been contemplating going back to it and then chunking out a whole part and making it shorter.
Okay.
Which is
awesome. Making it a short story?
No, just making it a shorter event.
Okay.
So basically the boy finds a magical creature in the forest and rescues it.
After midnight? And get wet?
No, it's more like a Pokemon. He finds a real life Pokemon.
Oh.
So
okay. I choose you.
Yes. And so I had him go through a healing process with it. I'm like, why don't we just get rid of that and just have him, out of gratitude, here, let me take you to my house and let you see where I live.
Okay, so he's helping the little creature.
Yes. So that's, just kind of shorten that down. I've been actually...
Is that more like a coming of age story for the child?
Yeah, I would say so, because initially the main character was going to be around 6th grade, 7th grade.
Okay.
But...
yeah, that's a little young for coming of age. But, I mean, that's not necessarily... Well, no, that's a good age for that, too. Because you're transitioning from adolescence to adulthood, and you get that weird stuff with your body.
Yeah. And two others I just forgot about that I did. One was a coming of age, neighbors. Hi, neighbors. Coming of age story about moving that I'm thinking about updating because I wrote it after I had moved once.
Yeah, but you need to do that because that is traumatic for people, or for especially children, but adults too.
The curious part is technology. I got to figure out, because when I did this move...
Yeah, but there's nothing like being with your friends. Especially,
this is true.
Especially with people who, like boys or girls, well, any child who's on a team, that, you have that camaraderie.
Yeah.
I mean, and even if you're not best friends with that, you're still used to them and the physical talking and just working together as a team. And then when you're taken away from that, it's like cutting off a part of your body. So even with social media, just seeing a picture is not the same as communicating.
Right. Or even a little texting kind of a thing. It's not the same thing. But yeah, I have to figure out the technology on that one. And I did do a story about two brothers on a snow day. That one would have been, probably could maybe be an early chapter book.
Okay.
But that would be a fun one.
So your writing's going to be from very young all the way to what is that, middle grade or YA? I guess.
The YA, the YAs would be as late into high school that they would want to read it.
Okay. Well, I mean, adults love YA, but I mean, you're starting from young. What would be like 4 years old-ish? Yeah. So the first, not taking into account the cute, adorable picture book story idea, but the other ones, my characters would start at like elementary school for the snow day,
and then go through. Then I have a gap to like that middle school area, and then I have early high school age kids.
Okay.
So, yeah.
But the one that's going to be an anthology is just traditional YA.
Yes.
Okay. All right. Awesome. So if you have any questions about, I guess, any of those ages and what how to write, you can hit her up on Facebook or Twitter or whatever. And, I'm sure she'd be happy to have a conversation about it. She said she's writing it all.
I know.
It's all over.
Many works in progress.
So it seems like most of your stories, you don't have one main character, you have a couple, or is...
I usually have, we'll say, 3 at the most.
You like the
at one
twins
point.
and triplets thing.
I do. That's the weird thing. I have a lot of twins, triplets, and
She has a triplet story, and I've been there when she's writing a lot of it. And different years, it's different. They're 3 sisters, and that's where the time travel and a lot of 80s nostalgia. We have fun.
Yes.
And terminologies, totally radical. That was a complicated plot, but I think I finally figured it out. But that's fun.
I will be pitching that one as it's a mashup of Nancy Drew and Doctor Who.
Okay. Yeah, that's actually very, very accurate.
Funny thing.
Without the TARDIS.
Yes, without the TARDIS, they have different ways of doing their time traveling. But yeah.
Is it portals or?
Let's see. One is
that would be your sci-fi paranormal.
Yeah.
Or sci-fi fantasy.
Yeah, that would be fantasy.
Or not sci-fi, but what did you call it?
Science fantasy.
Science fantasy.
Yeah,
because they originated on another planet, right?
Yeah. So, yeah, the parents were from 2 different planets, and they were exiled to Earth. And
The kids or the parents?
the parents.
And alternate timelines.
Actually, they were warned after the triplets were born that the fate of the universe, the good of the universe, depended on them being split up. So they were hidden away literally in space and time. So one got sent back into the past, and then another one went off to the other end of the universe, and they were able to keep the middle child. So here's an example of the middle child staying with the family and nothing bad happening.
I was gonna say that's good. The middle child actually didn't get the shaft.
Yes, exactly. She gets to stay with the mom, with the birth parents. So.
And the other ones are gonna be resentful-ish. But they're probably happy that they found each other eventually.
Yes.
So the first one was sent into the past, and then the other one was sent to another planet. Oh gosh.
And they were all friends of the mom when she was a young girl.
So they sent all the kids to mom's friends.
Yes.
Okay.
And they actually wound up being godparents. That's
Okay.
the term that I used.
So, and then the bad guy is the thread through all 3?
No, there is a bad guy that's mentioned in the second story, which is being redone.
Okay.
I'm redoing it because it's called 3 on a Match, but I was reading it and I'm like, it's all done from one person. It's mainly one person's point of view, so it's not really 3 stories, so I have to redo it.
Okay, so it's all one sister's point of view?
Yeah.
So, but they can't find each other all.
Well, no,
Yeah, point of view can get dicey.
it can. My favorite way to write when I first started writing was omniscient, which means you're in everyone's head.
Right. Which can get confusing for the reader.
It can, but I read a lot of books like that growing up, so it didn't mean anything to me. And basically, the way I write initially is like a screenplay.
Okay. So it's just dialogue pretty much with occasional
Exactly.
stage direction, and then you would go in and flesh it out more.
Exactly. So,
Hence why she could beat me in Word Wars.
just not the counting afterwards.
Well, math. I enjoyed the whole entire... It was complicated when she was like telling me, because I didn't realize there were 3 maybe at first or something. I don't know.
Yeah.
And then one's in the past, and then I love any kind of sci-fi like that where it's complicated, because plain old regular is boring, right? You want a little something. You want a little conflict. And then if you have somebody grow up in a different age than the others, especially even across the world, this whole total culture shift.
Yep.
So you get to make up a culture, and then you have the one that we grew up with, and the 80s, which is, awesome.
Radical.
Yeah, totally. For sure. And then when the third one is, I guess on another planet as well, so you get two cultures.
Yes. So yeah, the middle child's with her parents who get conscripted into service, military service. So she has one set of skills, and then the sisters come in, and it's the being able to go from being an only child to suddenly having sisters, and now you have to share everything.
Yeah, but
that conflict.
And they have a magical-ish ability. I mean,
Yes. So the planet the mother is from.
are you allowed to talk about it without giving things away? Because we don't want spoilers here.
I think I can.
Okay.
I think I can. The planet the mom is from, they have a thing there called talents, and everyone has their own talent. So it's sort of like magical abilities. And when the mother was exiled, banished, they allowed her two traits left. One was so her magical immunity, so she wouldn't fall ill when she came to some new world or whatever.
I need some magical.
I know, right?
behavior.
We all do these days. So the other trait that she was allowed to have was the trait to pass on the talents to her children.
Oh, okay.
They wouldn't know it, so
They
would.
They took it away from her.
Yes, they took everything except those two things from her.
Okay.
So she was just average person.
Okay.
And the kids had what we would just call ESP,
Okay.
and not know of anything
So
different.
they were sensitive.
They were sensitive, right?
Now, did their talents get more like stronger when they came around each other, awoke or whatever, or they just recognized?
No, but they were able to recognize it once they met, because they never knew each other. They were together when they were up until they were 1, and then just before they turned 2, they were separated. Or maybe they were 1, I don't know, somewhere around there. Toddler. They were separated. So it wasn't until they actually were around each other and met did they realize, oh, we have this link. Because they would have dreams about each other, but not know, because it was me, but not me.
Yeah, so they were identical triplets.
Yes.
So they would see themselves through these other people and be like, that's not me.
Yeah, exactly.
But it looked like them.
Exactly.
Confusing.
And in a strange environment, so they would be like, oh, that's weird, I had the strangest dream.
Right.
Not knowing it was something really happening.
Especially the earther.
Yes.
Yeah. Oh gosh. Yes. Complicated. So could any of these talents that these people have be negative? Like fighting or, like
Yes. One of the girls, she's very passionate. She's known as, in a prophecy, she was actually named in a prophecy. I have a lot of prophecies in my stories.
prophecies are cool.
They are. Even though editors and agents say no prophecies, they're still cool. She's known as the child of fire. And so she's got a temper on her.
Oh.
And basically her issue is she has to learn how to control it, because if she doesn't, it's like Anakin going to the dark side.
Oh.
She would basically,
Her hair becomes fire.
no, but she could become pretty evil.
Okay.
So yes,
She goes to the dark side.
yeah, that's her thing, and her check, she gets a chill that runs through her, and she realizes that was not a good thing, and that's her check.
Right.
But otherwise, no, I don't think there's a downside.
Okay.
think
I was just curious because the whole world is full of people with talents.
Yeah.
So
Oh, yeah.
I was thinking if maybe there was some bad dudes that or use their talents for not so nice things.
They actually, I did have a storyline. Like I said, I acted out my imagination. Or maybe I didn't. Yeah, I did. I said I acted out my imagination. So at one point in time in my childhood, I was one of these triplets. And the youngest child, who's the one that went back in time, into the 80s, her part of the prophecy is the child of dreams, or the dream child. And there were guys.
So she was a dreamweaver?
Yeah, people could, now I have this song in my head.
Sorry.
Thank you. I'm very suggestible that way. My family knows it. Yeah. So in one of the storylines I had, some bad guy would kidnap her, and I want you to dream the future for me. If I go to do this, what will happen? And so there were guys to do it, but they were given skills at how to protect themselves.
Okay.
when they were reunited.
That's cool. I like that story. It's a trilogy because they're, triplets.
Triplets.
So, any hints on if they saved the world or not? I guess we're still here, so.
Yeah, they are. We are still here, so yeah. The evil warlord's not won yet.
And is that one that you will hope to publish someday?
Yes, I would love to. When I go to pitch one particular story, I say it is part of it's a standalone story that could be part of a trilogy or even better, a series. It has series potential. By the way, that's another tip. If you have any stories or whatever that have the makings for more, don't tell them, I have an idea for a whole chronicle, but I have a story idea with series potential.
Right.
Agents love the fact that, oh, hey, I like this one, but can you give me more? So.
Well, that's another thing we haven't really touched on. Traditionally published or hybrid published or being independently published. So you're leaning towards pitching your stories, which
Yes.
is trying to get traditionally published. But you're also talking about being published in an anthology, which is necessarily going through an agent or a publisher.
Right.
So that in that regard, you would be independently published or
Yes.
published through them and then have your rights back.
Yep.
Do you have? I mean, would you prefer to be traditionally published? I mean, what is your goal? You just want to be published.
I just want to be published. I just want to be published. My husband found a book at a bookstore. I was going to say shop, and it was an ancient Egyptian's cookbook or something like that. And exactly, and he was like, if they can get published, you can get published. So
if you're an agent or an editor or work for a publishing house and her stories sound cool, contact her.
please contact me.
But you can do it. I mean, if I can do it, anybody can do it. You just, need to make sure that it's polished.
Polished.
And yes, you
Yes.
don't want it to be bad because that's not good.
Yes.
You want it to be very readable.
Yes. I do have to say one thing about my, I did say I had many works in progress. I have a little problem is that this person gets me into Nano, and I don't have 30 days to write constantly. I at best have 25. And so I'm a rebel. I'm a rebel. My goal is to beat my previous year's record. One day, I have a goal of doing the 50,000 in 1 month. But I have, for just about every year we've done, I have a work in progress.
Well,
I have finished 2 of those though.
But you have to get it out of your head, and that's the important thing. It doesn't matter if you write 50,000 words or 10,000 words.
It's getting it out.
Exactly, and you continued until you're finished.
Yes.
With some of those nano novels, and so that's the important thing because, starting it, you have many that you need to finish.
Yes.
But you're prioritizing, what you want to do, which is good because it's a process. You're learning who you are as a writer and where you want to go. So, I mean, you've been writing since, you were very young.
Yeah.
So obviously it's kind of like going to college and you start out with this major and then you switch because it's not exactly what you wanted to do. It's, you're finding your path along.
Yeah.
And everybody's path is a little different. I mean, we're all on the same journey, but our paths ending up at our destination are a little different.
Yep. And I
like metaphors.
She does. My works in progress that I have, I do go back to them. So that's like one of my most recently finished. I finished 1 week into Nano 2 years ago. I just go to it, and I would keep working on a Nano story after Nano, and then in January would come, and I'm like, you know what? I can keep going on this, but I have this other thing. It is so close to being done. I gotta finish it.
Right.
So then that book gets put over, and then I finish one, and then instead of going back, I usually find out, hey, Nano's coming back up. Let's go. And I'm like, okay. So I got to come up with a new idea, and then I've learned about being a rebel.
Yes, you don't have to. I mean, one year the whole idea is the Nano concept for people who don't know. Start a brand new story, write 50,000 words in a month. But you don't have to do that, and that's what they call a rebel. You can do 10,000 words, or you can write poetry and write something different every day. Okay, so what's going on? What's next for you in your writing career, as far as publishing goes, or what in the future? What's going on?
In the future? Well, when life settles down a little bit more, I'd like to get back into going to. There's certain conferences I've gone to where they actually have people there that you can speak to. Like with SCBWI, we will have. They have.
You're talking about pitch meetings?
There are pitch meetings in there. You can sign up. You can. Most of them though will. Some of them will have actual. If you go to a bigger one, they'll have agents there that you can spend a few minutes and have in there. But so they have those. And you immediately included in your registration for the conference. You can submit pages, and depending on how early you send it in to when registration starts, depends on whether you get a faculty member doing it, or better yet, an editor or an agent or even a publisher that is coming to your conference to look at your pages. So it's always good to, whenever you go to a conference and they say, hey, you get some pages you can submit, do it right away.
Now talk about you.
What's next for me? Well,
Yeah.
okay, sorry.
That's okay.
There's a reason why I do a lot of the Irish things, because I'm learning from an Irish friend how much stuff I have that is really Irish.
Well, that's part of your heritage too.
The sidetracked is one of them. Never mind other things, but yeah. So what I have going on is I am working on a story or two for a compilation that's coming up. You actually told me about your friend who's doing the compilation, and so I have.
So you're submitting to the anthology.
I'm going to. I'm going to try. I've got a couple of stories that are kind of spitballing in there. I had a couple epic dreams where I knew they were epic because I rehashed to someone else later. They're like, hey, what's been going on? I'm like, oh my gosh, you can't believe what just happened. And then I start the dream over. I'm telling them what happened.
In the dream?
In the dream.
Ah.
Which is cementing in my head what happened. So then
That's awesome.
I wake up and I'm like,
You remember it because
Wow.
you told it 3 times.
exactly.
The dream, and then
I write it all out.
Yeah.
And so I have a little book growing of ideas for anthologies. So that's next.
All right. So, are you going to do something with the Irish story? Or do you not know what exactly?
No, I've not narrowed it down because I keep revisiting that list that you sent me of the ideas. I'm like,
Okay.
ooh, this would be a good idea. Ooh, this would be a good idea.
It's just getting them out.
Getting them out. Like I speak, I tend to be a rather verbose writer, so it'll be interesting getting it into. I don't think it'll be a problem getting it up to. Hopefully, this doesn't blow away. Doesn't get up to the word. The minimum shouldn't be a problem.
Right.
It's keeping it under the maximum.
Oh no, you can do it.
But yeah, so there is an idea that we've floated of doing basically a prequel to my Celtic steampunk of basically of the parents' first attempt after the demon. That's
So it's a prequel. That's really cool because then that will give you momentum and help gain fans and whatnot
Yep.
to, they'll be like, rate that story, because that's what will happen.
yes, and that'll be great.
That's awesome. What would be your biggest advice to somebody who is just starting writing?
Find a writing group. There are tons of them online. If online works for you, it doesn't for me. I need an in-person sort of thing. I've tried many times and failed online. But if it works for you, go definitely find an online writing group that works really well for a lot of people. So do a writing group. Do Nano. They have through the website. They can do. You can find a local close enough to your area. It might just be a region, but they might even be able to zoom in on your town or a nearby city to give you a group, and then you can find out where they're going to be doing a write-in and stuff like that. I went to my first kickoff party last year, and that was fun. There were people handing out things left, right, and center. It was awesome. So do that. If there is a genre that you're wanting to write, join their association they have with it. There's the Romance Writers of America. There is mine, SCBWI, Society of Children's Book Writers and Illustrators. There's all kinds of other ones out there.
Yeah, in Ohio, we have Ohio fiction writers. We also have Central Ohio fiction writers, which is the branch of RWA. So, but I mean, you just Google it, you can go find a physical group, or you can find just an online group that might have people that meet. Like the Central Ohio fiction writers has 2 plotting groups. What they call plotting, we don't really. Well, we talk about our stories, but there's one that meets in Dayton and one that meets in Columbus, and we basically, if we have a plot problem or we need to work through something, we have other writers who are like-minded who can help us with that. And they do help. It's just nice to have a fresh idea when you're stuck and you just feel like you're Scooby-Doo on that hard floor. Or SEQUOIA.
My dog's running on a laminate floor, just going nowhere. Yes.
It's important to find, and it's also writing is solitary, so it's nice to have somebody, even if you're just sitting next to typing or writing, that gets you.
Your local library also might be a good place to go. The library that I go to in Verona, which is a neighboring town to Madison, one of the librarians that work there actually is the ML.
Oh, really?
For Madison. So I love it when she says we're having a write-in at the library. So it's convenient for her, and it's also like on my way home from work. So, but the libraries would be able to tell you to help find something. Another thing you can do are writers' conferences. There's some that are just like a day workshop kind of a thing. Some of them are a whole weekend. The one that I've gone to the longest, next to the SCBWI stuff, was the Writers Institute put on by the UW Extension.
Oh.
And that's been going on for close to 30 years now. And they have sessions all weekend long. It starts like on Friday night. Actually, last couple of years they break it into Thursday night. So they do it Thursday through Friday. They've got workshops and stuff like that. And then the actual sessions that you have go all day Saturday and most of Sunday.
No, that would be something you'd have to pay for, right?
Yes, that is something you got to pay for.
But you're being taught.
Yes, you're being taught, and a lot of it's really good.
And networking.
Information. Yes, tons of networking. My Irish friend I was telling you about, I met her and her co-writer at Writers Institute. God, I can't tell you how many years ago. But
that's just a few.
We're just a few.
We're young.
But not that many years ago. But yes. But yeah, there. Then they have extras that you could pay for, which would be like the pitch sessions. You get an 8 minutes with an editor, or 8 minutes with an agent. And I want to say about those times that I've done, I want to say about a dozen times. We got about a dozen times, only 2, I want to say, where I was like, well, that wasn't great. But almost the other ones, they were all great. I got a lot of feedback. Many of them said, send me some pages. One of them actually asked for a full manuscript.
Wow.
So that was the best. That was my highlight. That was really great.
All right, so where can people find you?
Well, I have a Facebook author page. It is Tales from a Shiny Southpaw. And
I'll put it right there.
And then on Twitter, you can find me at Shiny Southpaw.
Okay, good. Right there.
And then I do have Instagram, but it's just under my name at this point, which is Sharon Neustadt.
Okay.
Or there's an underscore in between.
All right. Well, that'll be there too. So go ahead and follow her, because good things are coming.
Yep.
And I suppose we're going to see each other in November this year as well.
Yes, hope so.
So
look forward to it every year.
More writing. And any last minute comments?
Buy her books. They're really awesome. They're funny. You might find yourself busting a gut laughing in inappropriate places when you come to some of the names of those places. I love the Mexican restaurant. I was on a break at a training seminar, reading the book, and I got to the name, and I busted a gut, and I could not tell them why.
Did you get the owner's name too?
Oh yes, that's right. But I think, aging myself a little bit, when I hear Desired laugh, I hear Witch Hazel from the old school Warner Brothers cartoons.
That's pretty appropriate, actually. That's pretty dead on. She's just, she's an old lady, and she's dirty. She's, well, not dirty. She's
perverted.
Okay, yeah, she's clean. She's not dirty. But you know, she's like the kind of pervy old dude that can get away with stuff. But she's ex-stripper, and you know, looks like a grandma, but has this, oh god, warped sense of
Mouth
humor.
on her. Oh man.
And not like bad words, but just, oh my goodness, she can get away with it because she's this cute little lady, and everybody expects it from her in town. She's just, you know, no filter, and just, yeah, you'll love her just like we do. And her name is Desire Hardman. Desire, not Desiree. Desire. But you know, she was an ex-stripper, so it totally fits.
Definitely.
All right, thank you guys for watching.
Bye. Thank you. Thanks for doing this.
Yeah, thanks for meeting me. She's in Wisconsin, Madison area. So if you're out and about in that area at writing conferences and whatnot, you might see her. And yeah, friend her on Facebook and follow her on Instagram and Twitter and her author page, because there's more to come.
Yes.
And she has a shiny Southpaw future. Bye.
Otherwise, they have it included. That's my dog in the background. I apologize. She has a spaz. Anyway.
That might go in the blooper clip.
It could be.
Are you going to fire us? Do you have any questions you want to ask us? Like, where's the BALL?
Can I go in the water yet? See, this is why I like to
Plan.
plan.
It's okay. I can
Sorry.
edit it out. We have neighbors with whiny kids and barking dogs. One in the
Blooper reel.
the blooper reel.